here for another installment of picking bands that we love and choosing our 5 favorite songs from that band. Quick note on that is that really when we know that our favorites change all the time. Next week, next month, it might be different songs than these. So this is just based on how we feel today. But the truth is we really do feel like these are our 5 favorite songs from the band that we choose this week. So Steph, why don't you tell us the band that we're doing this week?
Today we're talking about Porcupine Tree.
That's right, Porcupine Tree. A great progressive rock band that started in 1987. Steve Wilson is the backbone of Porcupine Tree. He's the main dude, did all the writing for Porcupine Tree and does the vocals for Porcupine Tree. So Porcupine Tree actually kind of disbanded about 10 years ago. There was some talk of them getting back together, potentially, but really they haven't. And in an interview in 2018, Steve Wilson said it's like chances are zero that that's going to happen. So that's a little sad, but Steve Wilson is the brainchild of Porcupine Tree, and you could go see him solo because he's still making solo music, and he does throw in some live Porcupine Tree. Like Steph and I saw
the
him,
To the Bone album.
Right.
He did the tour.
What was that, like a year and a half ago we saw him solo?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I was actually lucky enough to see Porcupine Tree in, I think it was 2009. So I'll give you a little quick history of how I was introduced to Porcupine Tree. So a friend of mine from work, his name's Rodney, he gave me a CD of Porcupine Trees. In around 2007, I asked him, I said, hey, we have a lot of similarities in the bands we like. Can you introduce me to some new bands? So he threw me 2 CDs, one of Porcupine Tree and one of Coheed and Cambria. And at first, when I listened to Porcupine Tree, I was like, okay, this is okay, but I loved Coheed and Cambria. I wasn't thrilled about Steve Wilson's vocals. I just didn't like it at first. It took me actually a couple years to really grow into liking his vocals. I just thought that they were too weak for me or not too unique. I don't know what it was, but now it's ridiculous. Like, I think Porcupine Tree is just amazing, and I think that they're, to me, better than Coheed and Cambria. Like, I find myself reaching for Porcupine Tree way more than Coheed. Not to knock Coheed, because they've got some great stuff and I still really enjoy them, but Porcupine Tree I love. They're definitely in one of my top favorite bands. So little history I gave early on, right? When you say Porcupine Tree is very like
Pink Floyd-ish.
That's right.
Say that.
Very Pink Floyd-ish, lots and lots of instrumentals, and that follows them throughout. All their CDs have lots of long form songs, very progressive and instrumental. But early on, it was like 80% instrumental. Their first couple albums, which are good stuff. But again, I got introduced pretty late in the game with Porcupine Tree. And Steph, when did you?
Yeah, I would say they weren't touring anymore as a band by the time I came across them, and thanks to John. Is how I heard about Porcupine Tree. And like John said, their early stuff, it was very instrumental. Later on, though, when you think of Porcupine Tree, I think of their lyrics just as much as an instrumental. And again, Steve Wilson and the band, just, again, great, in terms of musician-wise. They were, really amazing. But the lyrics and themselves as well are just so important for when it comes to all these songs. So, and I know John said he did not think Steve Wilson's vocals were, strong enough. But I would say that when I started listening to them, his vocals along with the instrumental just both took me like, wow. They definitely were so incredible. And I think it's just, they complement each other so well. So I do think that over time, I see that John has learned to love Steve Wilson's voice.
Oh, for sure. I mean, I think he really, I love his vocals. Yeah, for sure. I think it was really, it's always tough to just pick 5 songs from the bands that we love. So we always cheat, and we'll cheat today. Because especially with a band like Porcupine Tree, where they have a lot of like concept albums where they'll just go on a certain theme, it's really tough to just pick, oh, this is definitely my favorite song. And like I said, it changes over time. This is how we're feeling today. We're going to cheat. We're going to give you some great albums that we feel they made and other songs of theirs beyond just 5. So I'll let Steph go first. Now, the first 2 weeks when we did King's X and we did Genesis, we only had 1 match, so we'll see how many we have today.
Yeah, who knows?
Yep, so I'll let you go first.
All right, I'm going to go with Anesthetized from the album Fear of a Blank Planet.
So we have a match already.
Oh, wow, no way.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome.
Yep.
Yeah, so I mean, I think Fear of a Blank Planet is a great album, solid album. I think Porcupine Tree, out of their whole discography, that to me is definitely in like the top 5 albums, I would say. And it's interesting, that album is actually based on a novel called Lunar Park by Bret Easton Ellis. So a very interesting fact there as well. And I mean, the song is just, it's 17 minutes long. And that album only has 6 songs on it. And I know we usually think of albums having like 10 or more. But it's a quality album, and I mean, those 6 songs are all incredible, and this song itself, it's 3 parts in one, and it's just amazing. So I definitely think you should check it out.
Yeah, the whole album, just about the disillusionment of being a teen in the early millennium. Just, you know, kind of like the Ritalin generation, where your parents just put them on medication and sent them to the mall. And just that like dead zone of being kind of a blank generation. Fear of a Blank Planet kind of speaks for itself. But Anesthetized is just an incredible song. Absolutely, that is in my top. That's actually like my second favorite Porcupine Tree today. Maybe that'll change. But Steph, let everyone know who the guitarist is in the middle that has a great solo in that song.
That is Alex Lifeson from the band Rush.
That's right. The band Rush. Of course.
For those who don't know who Rush is, go check them out. Mm-hmm. Another incredible band.
Yep. Yeah, great solo by Alex Lifeson. But again, it's just an unbelievable song. That whole song, it could be an album in and of itself, I think.
Yeah, I think that song alone is a masterpiece.
Yep. Yeah. Okay, so we have a match already, so that's pretty cool. So I'm going to pick She's Moved On from Lightbulb Sun.
Nice. Great song. Great album, too.
Yeah. Really good album, which I wasn't too familiar with because, again, the first album I got was Deadwing. Lightbulb Sun I heard only really within the last couple of years, but it has Rush on Ice on it, which is another really good song. But She's Moved On, it's just got an amazing solo that encompasses almost the final 2 minutes. It's got an amazing guitar solo. And the vocal overlays are just so beautiful in that song that it's just become one of my favorites. So yeah, She's Moved On.
Yeah, I agree. That song from that album stands out. For me, definitely one of my favorites as well from that album.
Yeah.
Awesome.
But you didn't have it.
I did not have it.
Okay.
All right, the next song I'm going to pick is Lazarus from the album Deadwing. This is one of my favorite songs from Porcupine Tree. Such a beautiful song. The beautiful vocals, just such a really pretty song. And it's interesting because I believe I've read that Steve Wilson has said it's the closest to a love song that Porcupine Tree did. And it's actually about a mother singing to her dead son. So again, very interesting.
That's true.
Very interesting in terms of the topic of that song. But I think it's, again, such a pretty song and definitely on my top list of favorite songs from Porcupine Tree.
That's so Porcupine Tree that even though it's one of the few love songs that they have, that it's kind of dark like that. because Porcupine Tree music overall is relatively dark. It's dark stuff, but yes, Lazarus has kind of like a hopeful feel to it and an emotion. It's a great song. It's in a lot of, I think, not so hardcore Porcupine Tree's favorites. Porcupine Tree fans' favorites. And again, remember, we're not hardcore, we're not musicians, we're just casual fans, but we really love music. So it's not like we're experts, so don't put us to the fire with these things. It's just our opinion. But anyway, great song, Lazarus. Yep. All right, so I'm going to say I Drive the Hearse is in my top 5.
Very nice.
From The Incident, which is their last studio album, maybe of all time. And The Incident is an album, again, I actually saw them live on tour with that, so they did like half the album. But it is about, Steven Wilson talks about coming up to an accident on the road, car accident, and seeing like a sign that says warning, incident ahead, and he just thought, what a weird word to use, just incident. It was just so cold and distant for something so horrible. Like lives were changed right in front of him, and he just thought about that concept of the incident, and the album is based off of his feelings regarding that. And I Drive the Hearse is just an amazing song. Very dark song about a hearse driver, but just such a beautiful, beautiful song off The Incident. And The Incident is a double album, actually. It's their only one, their only double album. Yeah?
Yeah, a great album.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Oh, and a little asterisk here. When I saw them on The Incident live, again, I wasn't even really that into them because I had only listened to the CD for a year. I didn't really delve deep into their catalog. But guess who opened up for them?
Who?
King's X.
Nice.
That's right. So that's a kind of cool duo. I would have loved to redo that night over again because, again, I wasn't a huge Porcupine Tree fan, and we came in the middle of King's X, so I missed like half of King's X set. Saw maybe them do 2 or 3 songs, and then saw Porcupine Tree.
I wish I could have seen Porcupine Tree as a band. So,
right. Well,
you
that Steve Wilson
them.
show was pretty cool.
Definitely was.
All right, so Steph's up.
All right, I'm going to go with Fear of Blank Planet from the album of the same name. Did you pick that song?
I did not.
All
I did
right.
not, but it's a great one.
It is, and again, I think I can go all day talking about how much Fear of a Blank Planet is such a great album. So definitely this song stands out. And again, all the songs are solid, but this one again is just an incredible song. I think Steve Wilson and the band, just the way the song arrangements go, I think another song that I think just like Vanessa Size is really arranged, I think, so amazingly. This song, same thing. So I definitely think you should check it out. And again, if you don't know Fear of a Blank Planet, take a look.
Great
it's
album.
Really great.
All right, I'm up. So I picked Collapse the Light off In Absentia, and that is another great album. In Absentia, we were debating how it's pronounced. In Absentia, In Absentia. Either way is correct, actually. But it's just a great, great album, and to me, Collapse the Light is the best off the album, although there's a lot. Like Blackest Eyes and Trains, which are the first 2 songs off of In Absentia, is just an incredible 1-2 punch. And then a little later on, you get Collapse the Light, which is, again, just a beautiful, beautiful song. Beautiful lyrically. I mean, Steve's voice on that is just amazing. Just fits perfectly. And it's just, wow, it just takes you to another planet, that song, in my opinion.
I agree. A great song.
Yeah.
All right. So it's my turn. So since John already mentioned the song, I'm going to go and say Blackest Eyes. So there you go.
All right. So it's sort of a match, not technically, because Blackest Eyes just missed my top 5, but go ahead.
So like John said many times, Porcupine Tree, you think of dark music, and that's what the song is, just by the name of the song itself and the lyrics. It's just, I think, a really solid song, and again, that kind of creepiness when you look at the lyrics and just the whole feel of the song definitely is one of the things I really love about Porcupine Tree, and how Steve Wilson is just able to make these songs just so incredible and just, again, so creepy. It's really, really awesome.
I got Secrets in My Garden Shed.
Yeah.
Right? A couple minutes inside my van, it's definitely creepy. The character in it is just like a psychopath, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
A song told from the psychopath's point of view.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just a great song. All right, so I'm up.
Yeah.
All right. So we're on 5 because we did have a match. So I have a strong feeling we're going to match here, but I'm going to say Arriving Somewhere, Not Here.
You're so right. Awesome.
Got a match.
All right,
so 2 matches this time. And that's off Deadwing. And I think for either hardcore fans or not, Arriving Somewhere but Not Here is definitely would be in their top 5, if not their most favorite Porcupine Tree song. Again, it's a 10-plus minute song that just takes you on a journey, and it's just phenomenal. And Steve Wilson actually does it live. So you could still see it done live, and it's just blows me away whenever I hear it. So Arriving Somewhere Not Here off of Deadwing.
I agree. And I think it's also a song, just like Fear of Blank Planet, the song arrangement is really incredible. I just think that Steve Wilson is just a genius when he puts songs together. And I think just like when you hear Fear of Blank Planet, same thing. Arriving Somewhere Not Here is also just a great thing to show about how he just is an incredible musician and songwriter.
Mm-hmm. So again, that's off Deadwing, and Deadwing also has a couple other good songs on it. It's got, well, like Steph said, Lazarus is on Deadwing, Shallow is on it, and then the title track, Deadwing.
Yeah.
Really good album, yep.
And I'm going to mention another album that didn't make it in my top 5, and it's going to be Signify. I think that's a solid album. Even the song Signify is actually, I think, an incredible song. Love the guitar sound on that. I think of Joe Satriani when I hear that song. And he's a guitarist that I love, and I think Steve Wilson is an incredible guitarist. I think he's underrated. So if you don't know who he is, definitely go check him out.
Satriani, yeah. Satch. Yeah, Signify came out in 96. Has a couple other good songs on it. Sleep of No Dreaming and Dark Matter. Really good songs off Signify. And Signify was kind of like the first album where, even though there were still lots of instrumentals on it, they kind of became a little bit more mainstream, you know, and that was in 96. And then again, just to chronologically, a couple albums later was In Absentia, which again I think is one of their top 2 albums. Deadwing came along a couple years later in 2005. And then in 2007 was, like you said, Fear of a Blank Planet, just an incredible album. And 2 years later was The Incident, which, again, just what a way to end a career if it really is over for Porcupine Tree. Just those 5 albums right there, just amazing. And The Incident to end with a double album, great stuff. One other note is a song off of In Absentia, which is The Sound of Music, and it's spelled M-U-Z-A-K. You know, music, like elevator music. I just love that song, so I just wanted to mention that one also. It just speaks about how music, the fear of music becoming like very antiseptic and not really coming from the heart, and bands just kind of coming out, or producers coming out with music just to kind of make sales. And I think it's a warning for the future. And when I heard it, I was like, oh my God, you got to always put your heart into your music, just like Steve Wilson and Porcupine Tree. And I think all the other bands that we really love. So I just love that song. So check out that song off of In Absentia. Beautiful song.
I agree with what John said 100%. I think when we think of bands like Pink Floyd and Rush, you know, they were not just trying to be mainstream. They were really putting out just very substantial music that we really, really loved, because it really came from the heart. They were not trying to impress music executives, it was really about taking what they love and putting it into something that they could share with the world. And I think that's just been so incredible to hear. And over time, I mean, look at how long Pink Floyd were around and still are so relevant and essential. And I think same thing, Porcupine Tree. They have just thought-provoking lyrics, and I think just like the instrumentals, it goes just as much together with that. So I think again, a great band. And I think if you don't know some of their early stuff, I would definitely recommend Lightbulb Sun. I think that's a really great album as well. Like John spoke about Russia on Ice. I agree, she moved on. So I think from their early stuff, as they were progressing into In Absentia and Deadwing, I think you can definitely hear how Lightbulb Sun was, I think, really, you're starting to hear that, just really how they were coming a bit more mainstream, sure, but I think also just their evolution, I think, was starting to show there. So I think that was really great.
And one note on Steve Wilson, I mean, he's a guy who really does speak honestly, even in interviews. If you read any interviews, he'll tell you what he thinks of, like, just the music industry, and he's not really afraid to speak his mind. So it does come from the heart, and you could hear it in his lyrics. You could hear it. It's just, you could tell it's genuine. And again, it took me a couple years for it to grow on me, and now they are one of my favorite bands. And I've just had so much fun kind of rediscovering stuff that I didn't really know too well, and they're just amazing. So if you could check out Steve Wilson. Now, little warning that Steve Wilson and all his fans know this, have gotten a little bit more poppy. It's not so progressive rock anymore, which Steve actually had an issue anyway calling Porcupine Tree progressive rock. Just having that label, he wanted to be a little bit more well-rounded and not just in that category. But his solo stuff has become progressively away from that prog style of instrumental stuff. It's become a little bit more poppy. Not really my taste. Although, like you said, it's like To the Bone, that's his latest album, or he might have come out with an album just within the last month or so. But prior to that, it was To the Bone. That's the tour we saw. I mean, again, to me, it doesn't touch Porcupine Tree, but there were still some things to like about it.
Yeah, I would agree. I think, he's just such a genius when it comes to writing music, and so I would recommend you check out his solo stuff. To the Bone, I thought, was a solid album, and that only came out, not too long ago, a few years back. So, check it out. He was definitely in the more pop state of mind, I would say. And I know he's been influenced by bands like Genesis, which we also did a video for. So I think there's still great lyrics, and you just get to see the versatility of Steve Wilson, and his vocals again remain just amazing, and again his guitar playing is incredible. Yep.
All right, so we had 2 matches today, so that's pretty cool. 2, right?
Yeah.
2 and almost 3 if I just had chose Blackest Eyes. But all right, so we'll list the songs at the end if you want to check them out. If you don't know Porcupine Tree that well, you could listen to us, or you could tell us to go to hell. So, all right.
Bye.
Take care.